Want to speak real Korean from your first lesson? Sign up for your free lifetime account at KoreanClass101.com.
Hi everyone, I'm Jae-hui. In this video, we'll be talking about 10 lines you need for introducing yourself. Let's begin. 제 이름은 민준입니다. My name is 민준. So like this way you can say 제 이름은, my name is, your name, 입니다, to be. My name is Jae-hui, so I can say 제 이름은 재휘입니다. Or with my family name, I can say 제 이름은 이재휘입니다. So when you introduce yourself in Korean, make sure you say family name first and then your first name. 서울에 살고 있습니다. I live in Seoul. So you can put any city's name. For example, if you're living in New York City, you can say 뉴욕시에 살고 있습니다. I live in New York City. 27살입니다. I'm 27 years old. The basic way to say 27 is 27. But when you talk about your age, for example, 27 years old, you have to use native Korean numbers like in 27살, 27 years old, not 27살. Let me pick up some numbers. For example, if you're 30-year-old, you can say 저는 30살입니다. If you are 20 years old, you can say 저는 20살입니다. 한국 사람입니다. I'm from South Korea. 한국 사람입니다. I'm from South Korea, or I am South Korean. So just put your country's name instead of 한국 in this sentence. For example, if you are Chinese, you can say 중국 사람입니다. If you are American, you can say 미국 사람입니다. 중국 means China and 미국 means America. And here you have 사람 means person. So it literally means I'm a person of Korea. I'm a person of China. 교사입니다. I'm a teacher. For example, if you're a teacher, you can say 교사입니다. Or in some way, you can also say 선생님입니다. I'm a teacher. If you are a student, you can say 학생입니다. I'm a student. 독서는 제 취미 중 하나입니다. One of my hobbies is reading. If you like drawing, you can say 그리기는 제 취미 중 하나입니다. Or just to make it simple, you can say 그리기는 제 취미입니다. Which means that my hobby is drawing. 음악 감상을 즐깁니다. I enjoy listening to music. 음악 감상 means listening to music or music listening literally. So you can just put something else. For me, I can say 여행을 즐깁니다. I enjoy traveling. 한국어를 1년째 공부하고 있습니다. I've been learning Korean for 1 year. So if you speak Korean to Korean people in Korea, they will be surprised. I'll be surprised if someone just suddenly talk to me in Korean. Then you get asked, 한국어 얼마나 공부했어요? How long have you studied Korean? And if you just started studying Korean, you can say 한국어를 한 달째 공부하고 있습니다. I've been studying Korean for 1 month. 안녕하세요. 만나서 반갑습니다. Hello, it's nice to meet you. In general, like if you meet someone, before you talk about your name or after you talk about a name, you can say 안녕하세요. 만나서 반갑습니다. Hello, it's nice to meet you. Or if you know the other person is younger than you, or you just want to be a little bit more casual, you can say 안녕 만나서 반가워. koreanclass101.com에서 한국어를 배우고 있습니다. I'm studying Korean at koreanclass101.com. So people ask you where you learn Korean from, and you can proudly say that koreanclass101.com에서 한국어를 배우고 있습니다. Or if you're learning Korean at a language school, you can say that 어학원에서 한국어를 배우고 있습니다. I'm learning Korean at a language school. Okay, that's all 10 lines you need for introducing yourself. Leave some comments and introduce yourself using one of the expressions that we introduced in this video. Make sure to subscribe and I'll see you next time. 다음 시간에 뵙겠습니다. 안녕히 계세요. Hi everyone, welcome back to Korean Weekly Words. In this video, we'll be talking about top 10 Korean foods. 국수, wheat flour noodles. 국수, wheat flour noodles. In Korea, when there's a festival, this is the main dish that you can try. Traditionally, 국수, the wheat flour noodles, was the main dish for party. Like instead of having a lot of meat and everything, in the past, people shared the noodle for celebrating someone's birthday or a big event of a family. So in a sentence, you can say 그 잔치에 가면 국수를 먹을 수 있습니다. Kimchi, kimchi. So I think this is one of the very famous Korean food around the world. So in Korea, like without kimchi, you cannot call something as a meal. Like so, every time whenever you have something, even with pizza, you can find kimchi on the table too. So in a sentence, I can say 우리 엄마는 피자를 먹을 때 김치도 함께 먹습니다. Which means that my mother eats kimchi when she's having pizza. 김치 볶음밥, kimchi fried rice. When I was a kid, like in the morning, my mom is working mother still, like she's working. So she was very busy in the morning. So this kimchi 볶음밥 was the food that she can prepare very easily within 5 minutes. You can sometimes put something like egg on the top of the kimchi 볶음밥 as a topping, or something like some different types of meat too. So you can have different flavor for each day. So in a sentence, we can say 아침에 바빠서 김치볶음밥을 만들었습니다. Which means that I was busy in the morning, so I made 김치볶음밥, kimchi fried rice. 김치찌개, kimchi stew. So here we have the word kimchi and 찌개, which means stew. So there are actually a lot of types of stew in Korea, and kimchi찌개 is the most popular one. So in a sentence, I can say 갈비를 다 먹고 김치찌개를 주문했습니다. That means I ordered kimchi stew after having Korean style barbecue. 냉면, cold noodle soup. 냉면, cold noodle soup. So the way to make this noodle cold is to put shaved ice over the soup. So you can have noodle and shaved ice together. So that's why it's very popular for summer, but for actually any season you can find it at a Korean restaurant. In a sentence, we can say 날씨가 더워서 오늘 저녁에는 냉면을 먹을 겁니다. Which means since it's hot today, I'm going to have cold noodle soup for dinner. 된장찌개, 된장 stew, or soybean paste stew. The way we make it is kind of similar to how we make 김치찌개, kimchi stew, but with a different main item inside the soup. 식당에 가서 김치찌개 하나랑 된장찌개 하나를 주문했습니다. Which means that I ordered one kimchi stew and one soybean paste stew at a restaurant. 떡볶이, stir-fried rice cake. 떡볶이, stir-fried rice cake. So here we have the word 떡, which means rice cake, and 볶 means fried. When I was a kid, I loved that because it's spicy and it's sweet. It's very small portion, so you can have it between lunch and dinner. And it's cheap too. So for one person, like it only costs about $1 or 1,000원. In a sentence, I can say 어렸을 때 학교에서 집에 가는 길에 떡볶이를 자주 먹었습니다. Which means that I often had stir-fried rice cake when I was on the way home from school. 라면, ramen. So as you can see, it sounds very similar. Like ramen is the Japanese name of the same food. So we call it as ramen using the word 면, which means noodle. When Korean people say ramen, it means instant ramen, not some kind of Japanese style ramen. So if you find out that there's nothing to eat at home, you can simply just say 편의점에 가서 라면을 사올게, which means that I'll go to a convenience store and buy ramen. 부대찌개, army base stew. 부대찌개, army base stew. So in the past, you could have it only around the army post, but now people love the taste. So you can find the restaurant selling 부대찌개 at every corner of the city and in South Korea. 오늘 점심시간에는 직장 동료들과 부대찌개를 먹었습니다. Which means that I had the army base stew with my coworkers for lunch. 순두부찌개, raw bean curd stew. 순두부찌개, raw bean curd stew. I like the 순두부찌개 because of its texture. Like 순두부 is very soft. It tastes like pudding. So Korean people usually have 순두부찌개 with egg too, to make it a little bit less spicy. So if you don't like something spicy, I think it's kind of good tip to put something like raw egg into the soup so that it can be a little bit less spicy. These days, I think 순두부찌개 is getting more popular, so you can actually find it very easily. 오늘 순두부찌개 먹을래? Do you want to have raw bean curd stew today? Okay, that's all words about top 10 Korean foods. I hope you like some of this food, and make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you next time. 다음 시간에 뵙겠습니다. 안녕히 계세요. Hi everyone, welcome back to Korean Weekly Words. I'm Jae-hee. In this video, we'll be talking about 10 must-know math words. Let's begin. 계산하다, calculate. A little means to do calculation because the 계산, the noun means calculation. So if you're bad students, you might want to say that 계산하는 게 싫어요. I don't like calculating. I don't like to calculate. Or you can also say that 계산하는 걸 잘해요. I'm good at calculation. 공식, formulas. There are a lot of formulas in math. So when I was in the junior high and high school, there are a lot of formulas that I had to memorize. So in that case, I could say 고등학교 때 공식을 많이 외웠습니다. I remembered a lot of formulas when I was in high school. But now I forgot most of that. So in that case, you can also say that 공식을 거의 다 잃어버렸습니다. I forgot the most of the formulas. 곱하기, times. In Korean, the way to read a number and something between is the same in English. For example, 3 곱하기 4 is for 3 times 4. Or 5 곱하기 5 means 5 times 5. So you can just replace times with 곱하기 and then read the numbers in Korean way when you have to give the kind of formulas. 나누기, divide. So 나누기 is the same, like just say the number and then 나누기, the number. For example, 10 divide 2 is 10 나누기 2. And you can also say that 8 divide 2 as 8 나누기 2. 더하기, plus. You can find 더하기 as in 2 더하기 5, 2 plus 5, 3 더하기 7, 3 plus 10. 빼기, minus. So for example, you can use it as 3 빼기 1, 3 minus 1, or 4 빼기 2, 4 minus 2. 이다, equal. So when you read numbers and formulas for the math, you can just say something something 이다 to mean equal. So for example, 3 더하기 2는 5이다. 3 plus 2 equals 5. Because we have a different sentence structure, you have to put equals to the end of the sentence and say 이다, as in 2 더하기 5는 7이다. 2 plus 5 equals 7. 소수점, point. For a math, when you want to mean decimal point, you can just say 소수점, but when you read it with numbers, you can just say 점. So for example, 3.2 is 3.2, 5.7 is 5.7. So you don't have to say 소수점 when you read point with numbers. 백분율, percent. When you read the percent as it is, you can just say 백분율. But when you read the percent with numbers, you can just say 퍼센트. For example, 10% is 10%, 20% is 20%. So, for example, when something is on sale, you can find some phrase saying 10% sale 중, sale for 10%. 수학, math. There are actually two words to mean math, like 산수 and 수학. 수학 means math in general. 산수 sounds like some simple math that you can learn from the elementary school. So when you see a textbook for elementary school students, it says 산수, but for junior or junior high school students, it says 수학. So when you teach English to elementary school students, make sure you use the word 산수, not 수학. For example, you can say 수학은 언제나 어렵습니다. Math is always difficult.
Hi, I'm Amy. Nice to meet you. In this series 한분 한국어, we're going to learn basic Korean expressions. It's super easy and it takes only 3 minutes. First of all, you're going to learn how to introduce yourself in Korean. There are a few different ways to do it depending on how formal you want to be. Let's first look at an informal way to introduce yourself. 안녕, Amy야. 반가워. Hi, I'm Amy. Nice to meet you. 안녕, Amy야. 반가워. Here, 안녕 means peace, so literally you say peace to say hello in Korean. Next, you can say your name, then add the sentence ending particle 야. My name is Amy, so I say Amy야. Finally, you say 반가워. 반가워 means nice to meet you. Now you try it. Start by saying 안녕. Then say your name followed by 야. If your name is David, you can say 데이비드야. Finally say 반가워. 안녕 데이비드야, 반가워. Now let's see a formal version. 안녕하세요, Amy예요. 반가워요. Hi, I'm Amy. Nice to meet you. 안녕하세요, Amy예요. 반가워요. What has changed from the previous introduction? Let's take a close look at these together. First, 안녕 has to change to 안녕하세요. 하세요 is the verb meaning to do. If you add 하세요 next to 안녕, it becomes more formal and polite. 안녕하세요. Next, you can replace the particle 야 with 에요. Both of them are sentence-ending particles, and you can put them after nouns. But 야 is informal and 에요 is formal. So if you say Amy예요 instead of Amy야, you can introduce your name in more formal way. Finally, 반가워요. Do you remember how to say nice to meet you in the informal way? 반가워. Here, you can simply add the particle 요 at the end of the verb. Then it becomes formal. 요 is a particle that can make a sentence polite. 반가워요. One more time. The formal way to introduce yourself is 안녕하세요, Amy예요. 반가워요. The informal way to introduce yourself is 안녕, Amy야. 반가워. Now it's time for Amy's insights. When you introduce yourself in Korea, it's polite to make a small bow. If you're a guy, bow with your hands at your sides. If you're a girl, bow with your hands in front of you. In the last lesson, we learned how to introduce ourselves in Korean. Today, we're going to learn how to use good manners as we thank people. Are you ready? Then let's start. There are several ways to thank someone. Let's start with the most common phrase, 감사합니다. 감사합니다. 감사합니다 means I do thanks or thank you. To say thank you very much, you just need to add 대단히, which means very much or greatly. 대단히 감사합니다. 대단히 감사합니다. 대단히 means greatly, so 대단히 감사합니다 is like saying thank you very much. In the last lesson, we saw that Korean has formal and informal ways of speaking. 감사합니다 is pretty formal. If you want to thank someone more casually, you can use a shorter phrase. 고마워. 고마워. Let's break down those phrases. In the formal way of saying thank you, 감사합니다. 감사 means thank you. And 합니다 is a formal way to say to do. So 감사합니다 means I do thanks. And to make it less formal, we swap out 감사 with a different verb. That's 고마워. It has the same meaning of thank you, but it's more friendly. When someone thanks you, how should you answer? There's no set response like you're welcome in English, but there are a few things that you can say. The first thing is 아니에요. 아니에요. You literally are saying no, but this is a common and informal way to respond to someone thanking you. You're telling the person that there's nothing to bother thanking you for. There's another phrase that's used to respond to thank you in Korean. 천만에요. 천만에요. But it's not used all that often. You're better off with 아니에요 in most situations. Now it's time for Amy's insights. 감사합니다 sounds formal. 고마워 sounds informal. What if you want to sound kind of formal, but still kind of friendly? In that case, you can upgrade the informal 고마워 to 고마워요. You see, you simply add 요 at the end. 요 is the sentence ending particles that make sentences more polite. This is a nice way to thank your waiter. 고마워요. In the last lesson, we learned how to thank people by saying 감사합니다 and 고마워. In this lesson, we will learn some of the most common greetings used in Korea. Are you ready? Then let's start. The most common informal greeting is 안녕. 안녕. 안녕 means peace. We say it when we meet someone and also when we leave, but only to a friend or someone younger than us. The more standard greeting that you will hear a lot in Korea is 안녕하세요. 안녕하세요. Literally, 안녕하세요 means, are you at peace? We use it to say hello when we meet someone. It's technically a question, but we don't always say it that way. 안녕하세요. Because 안녕하세요 is a question, some people answer it with 예, which means yes, before replying with the same question, 안녕하세요. When it's time to leave, we have a couple different ways to say goodbye. If you're leaving and the other person is staying, say 안녕히 계세요. 안녕히 계세요. 계세요 means please stay. So 안녕히 계세요 literally means please stay peacefully. A casual version of 안녕히 계세요 is 잘 있어. 잘 means well, and 있어 means stay informally. So 잘 있어 just means stay well. 잘 있어. If the other person is leaving, say 안녕히 가세요. 안녕히 가세요. 가세요 means please go. So 안녕히 가세요 literally means please go peacefully. A casual version of 안녕히 가세요 is 잘 가. 잘 means well, and 가 means go informally. So 잘 가 just means go well. Now you know lots of ways to greet people in Korean. Let's review them all once again. To greet someone casually, 안녕. To greet someone respectfully, 안녕하세요. To say goodbye respectfully when you're leaving and the other person is staying, 안녕히 계세요. To say goodbye casually when you're leaving, 잘 있어. To say goodbye respectfully when the other person is leaving, 안녕히 가세요. To say goodbye casually when the other person is leaving, 잘 가. In this lesson, we're going to learn a very useful phrase. Do you speak English? If you find yourself in a situation where you need assistance in English, this phrase can be a lifesaver. And because you're asking it in Korean, you can be sure that everyone will understand what you're asking, even if their answer is no. Are you ready? Then let's start. Here's the basic way to ask whether someone speaks English. 영어 하세요? 영어 하세요? 영어 means English, and 하세요 means do you do? So 영어 하세요 means do you do English? If you want to be a little more specific and ask about someone's ability to speak English, you can say 영어 할 수 있어요? 할 수 있어요 means can you do? Can you do English? 영어 할 수 있어요? 영어 할 수 있어요? This sentence could be very helpful if you're in trouble on the street, in a restaurant, or a hotel. No matter where you are, if you're looking for someone who can speak English, just ask. If you want to be super polite, just add 실례하지만, which means excuse me but. 실례하지만 영어 하세요? Excuse me, but do you speak English? 실례하지만 영어 하세요? The response will probably be like one of these three. Yeah? Yes? Yeah? 조금이요. Just a little. 조금이요. 아니 못해요. No, I don't. 아니 못해요. Since this last one is a negative statement about ability, we add 못, an adverb meaning can't. 못해요 means I can't. Now it's time for Amy's insights. For those of you who are not only English speakers, you can obviously use this question with any language you need. 일본어 for Japanese, 중국어 for Chinese, 스페인어 for Spanish, 독일어 for German, 프랑스어 for French. If you want to say, do you speak German? You can simply replace 영어 with 독일어. 독일어 하세요? Do you speak German? 독일어 하세요? In this lesson, we mentioned the word 실례합니다, meaning excuse me.
Welcome to Fun and Easy Korean by KoreanClass101.com. Did you know that there are fun and quicker ways to text in Korea? 여러분 안녕하세요, 소피입니다. Hi everyone, I'm Sophie. In this lesson, you will learn all about Korean slang and abbreviations. If you want to master Korean slang and abbreviations, you need to learn how Koreans communicate and express their emotions through texting. In this video, you will learn simplified Korean texting slang and combined words. After watching this video, reaching out to your Korean friends through text will change for the better. These Korean text slang words and expressions are actually easier to learn than you think. So, make sure to keep on watching. Let's start with simplified Korean texting slang, which is common slang words that Koreans use frequently. You may notice that vowels are omitted, so you see only the first consonant of each syllable. That's why you cannot actually read or say these words. Koreans use them for texting only, using your phone or computer. The first is 기억 시옷, short for 감사, meaning thank you. 감사, 감사. This is how you use it. 선물 감사, which means thank you for your present. 선물 감사, 선물 감사. Another common Korean slang is 니은 니은, short for no no, meaning no no. No no, no no. For example, 사진 no no, meaning no picture, which is a way of saying that there's no picture or don't take a picture. 사진 no no, 사진 no no. Next is 디귿디귿, short for 덜덜. This is a word used to describe shivering, especially because it's frightening, shocking, or surprising. 덜덜, 덜덜. It is used like this. 노래는 좋은데 가사가 덜덜. The melody is great, but the lyrics are scary. 노래는 좋은데 가사가 덜덜. 노래는 좋은데 가사가 덜덜. Another one is 쌍지읒, 쌍지읒, short for 쯧쯧, meaning 쯧쯧, 쯧쯧. You use it this way. 또 늦었네, 쯧쯧. He's late again. 또 늦었네, 쯧쯧. 또 늦었네, 쯧쯧. Next is 기역, which is short for 고고, meaning let's go or let's do it. 고고, 고고. This is how you use it. 내일부터 다이어트 고고, which means I will go on a diet from tomorrow. 내일부터 다이어트 고고. 내일부터 다이어트 고고. Text your friend goodbye through this. 비읍 비읍, short for bye, meaning goodbye. Bye. Here is an example. 내일 봐, bye. See you tomorrow, bye. 내일 봐, bye. 내일 봐, bye. Another one is 이응, short for 응, meaning yes. 응. You can use it this way. 응, 알겠어. Yes, I got it. 응, 알겠어. 응, 알겠어. Is it your friend's birthday today? Text them with this. cute. Short for 축하. Meaning congratulations, literally. We use this expression on someone's birthday, marriage, or graduation when you want to say congratulations. 축하. For example, 생일 축하. Happy birthday. 생일 축하. 생일 축하. Another frequent text slang is 이응 키읔, short for okay, meaning okay. okay. For example, okay, 그렇게 할게. Okay, I will do that. okay, 그렇게 할게. okay, 그렇게 할게. If you did something that hurts the feelings of your Korean friend, text him or her with 지읒, 시옷, a short version of 죄송, meaning sorry. 죄송. And in an example, 실수, 죄송. Oh, my mistake. I'm sorry. 실수, 죄송. 실수, 죄송. Let your Korean friends know they're being funny by texting. 키읔, short for 크크크, which is the sound of laughter. It is the same as LOL, laughing out loud. 크크크. You can use it when commenting on a funny picture. There's a similar expression, 히읗, which is short for 흐흐흐, which represents a weaker laugh sound than 크크크. 흐흐흐. Next is text slang with combined words. These are a bit more complicated than the previous ones I gave you because they are composed of more than one Korean expression. Here are some examples. The first word in our list is 짐, short for 지금, meaning now. 짐. In a sentence, you could say 짐 어디? Where are you now? 짐 어디? Sam is another Korean slang short for 선생님, meaning teacher. Sam. Here it is in a sentence. 우리 쌤 진짜 잘생긴 것 같아. I think my teacher is really handsome. 우리 쌤 진짜 잘생긴 것 같아. 우리 쌤 진짜 잘생긴 것 같아. Next is 어떻게, short for 어떻게, meaning how. 어떻게. For example, 이거 어떻게 쓰는 거지? How can I use this? 이거 어떻게 쓰는 거지? 이거 어떻게 쓰는 거지? If your Korean friend invited you to go hiking, but you don't feel like going, reply with 다음, short for 다음, meaning next time. 다음, 다음. In a sentence, 다음에 가자. Let's go next time. 다음에 가자. 다음에 가자. Here is another Korean slang. 스샷, short for 스크린샷, meaning screenshot. 스샷, 스샷. Here is an example. 폰 스샷 찍어 보내줘. Send me the screenshot of your phone. 폰 스샷 찍어 보내줘. 폰 스샷 찍어 보내줘. Another one is 눈팅, short for 눈채팅, meaning to read a chat without interacting. 눈팅, 눈팅. For example, 난 인스타그램은 그냥 눈팅만 해. I spend time lurking on Instagram. 난 인스타그램은 그냥 눈팅만 해. 난 인스타그램은 그냥 눈팅만 해. Do you like what you are eating at a restaurant? Text your friend with 강추, short for 강력 추천, meaning highly recommended. 강추, 강추. For example, 이거 짱 맛있어. 강추. This is really delicious. Highly recommended. 이거 짱 맛있어. 강추. 이거 짱 맛있어. 강추. 비번 is a slang that you will find very useful. It is short for 비밀번호, meaning passwords. 비번, 비번. And now an example. 엄마, 아파트 비번 뭐야? Mom, what's the code for our apartment door? 엄마, 아파트 비번 뭐야? 엄마, 아파트 비번 뭐야? Did you know there's a Korean slang word for the word computer? It's com, short for computer. Com, com. Here it is in a sentence. 이 어플 컴으로도 돼? Does this app work on the computer too? 이 어플 컴으로도 돼? 이 어플 컴으로도 돼? Here's a slang you can use with your Korean office mates. 메일, short for 매일, meaning email. 메일, 메일. For example, you could say, 나 메일 좀 쓸게. Let me write an email. 나 메일 좀 쓸게. 나 메일 좀 쓸게. Next is game, short for game, meaning game. Game, game. It's perfect Korean slang you can use with your Korean gamer friends. And now in a sentence. 게임하러 갈 건데 같이 갈래? We're going to play a game. Do you want to play too? 게임하러 갈 건데 같이 갈래? 게임하러 갈 건데 같이 갈래? Next is 울, short for 우리, meaning we, our or my. 울, 울. For example, 울 남친 잘생겼지. My boyfriend is handsome, right? 울 남친 잘생겼지. 울 남친 잘생겼지. Next is 짱나, short for 짜증나, meaning I am annoyed or I'm cranky. This slang is perfect when you feel like expressing your emotions. 짱나, 짱나. For example, 날씨 더워서 너무 짱나. I feel so cranky because of this hot weather. 날씨 더워서 너무 짱나. 날씨 더워서 너무 짱나. Next is 근데, short for 그런데, meaning by the way or but. 근데, 근데. So you might say, 이거 비싸 보이지? 근데 사실 되게 싸. This looks expensive, right? But it's actually very cheap. 이거 비싸 보이지? 근데 사실 되게 싸. 이거 비싸 보이지? 근데 사실 되게 싸. You can also use the slang 때문에, short for 때문에, meaning because of. 때문에, 때문에. In an example, 너 때문에 엄마가 화났잖아. Mom is angry because of you. 너 때문에 엄마가 화났잖아. 너 때문에 엄마가 화났잖아. Try using 아님 when texting. It's short for 아니면, meaning or if not. 아님, 아님. In a sentence, 초콜릿 먹을래? 아님 쿠키 먹을래? Do you want to eat some chocolate or some cookies? 초콜릿 먹을래? 아님 쿠키 먹을래? 초콜릿 먹을래? 아님 쿠키 먹을래? Now, let's learn 알써, short for 알겠어, meaning okay. 알써, 알써. For example, 알써, 집 가는 길에 우유 사갈게. Okay, I will buy some milk on the way home. 알써, 집에 가는 길에 우유 사갈게. 알써, 집에 가는 길에 우유 사갈게. Let your Korean friends know that it's your first time in Korea or it's your first time meeting them by texting. 처음, short for 처음, meaning for the first time. 처음, 처음. You could say, 한국 음식은 처음 먹어봐. This is my first time to try Korean cuisine. 한국 음식은 처음 먹어봐. 한국 음식은 처음 먹어봐. Next is 내일, short for 내일. It's the slang you use when you want to text tomorrow. 내일, 내일. For example, 내일 보자. See you tomorrow. 내일 보자. 내일 보자. 제일, on the other hand, is short for 제일, meaning the most, the best. 제일, 제일. And in a sentence, 네가 제일 예뻐, which means you're the prettiest. 네가 제일 예뻐. 네가 제일 예뻐. Next is 좋아, short for 좋아, meaning I like. 좋아, 좋아. For example, 난 딸기 케이크가 좋아. Meaning, I like strawberry cake. 난 딸기 케이크가 좋아. 난 딸기 케이크가 좋아. 반가, short for 반갑습니다. Meaning, nice to meet you. 반가, 반가. This word is used on the internet or chat and might be considered somewhat old-fashioned. You can still come across it in many places, so it's a good word to remember. 안녕, 반가, 반가. Hello, nice to meet you. 안녕, 반가, 반가. 안녕, 반가, 반가. Now, let's learn about slang for the days of the week. 월요일, short for 월요일, meaning Monday. 화요일, short for 화요일, meaning Tuesday. 수요일, short for 수요일, meaning Wednesday. 목요일, short for 목요일, meaning Thursday. 금요일, short for 금요일, meaning Friday. 토요일, short for 토요일, meaning Saturday. 일요일, short for 일요일, meaning Sunday. Try using one of these like this. 그럼 월요일에 볼까? Shall we meet on Monday? 그럼 월요일에 볼까? 그럼 월요일에 볼까? In this lesson, you learn different Korean slang words used in texting. You can now communicate with your Korean friends through simplified Korean slang, combined words, emoticons, and text slang with numbers. You don't have to create long and boring messages anymore whenever you want to get in touch with your Korean friends. That's it for today. See you next time. 다음에 또 봐요.
When learning a new language, everyone should have an ultimate goal to work towards. Whether you want to be able to connect with a relative, easily order food while traveling, or go somewhere new, having an end goal for your learning can be very motivating. A popular but challenging goal is being able to speak like a native speaker. It's difficult to measure exactly when you reach this goal, and it's not something you can pick up using textbooks alone. So how do you work on making your speech more natural? That's what we're going to look at today. Here are 3 tips to help you practice talking like a native speaker. Number 1, focus on vocabulary. If your goal is to speak like a native, you might be really focused on speaking quickly or using as many complex grammar patterns as possible. But in our native languages, we're not always trying to speak as fast as possible, and we use complex grammar patterns when necessary, not to show off. Vocabulary, however, is extremely important to expressing ourselves naturally. Your choice of words can reveal a lot about you and your understanding of the language. Most learners have had the experience of using a phrasebook or a dictionary to find a word they want to use, trying the word in conversation, and getting a look of confusion from the native speaker. In some cases, although your word choice may be grammatically correct, the word may be inappropriate for the situation or totally unnatural. This is especially important in business and other formal situations, where the right level of formality and professionalism is key. Being able to understand nuances in vocabulary words can also help you understand relationships between people just by listening to the conversation. Try to listen to many different types of conversations. Listen to how people talk to their friends, their superiors, and in customer service situations. This will give you a better idea of how to talk to others naturally. In some languages, you can omit words from sentences or use more direct communication styles. It's important to be aware of these things so you can apply them yourself. Colloquialisms and slang are also commonly used in most languages. As this sort of vocabulary is always evolving, it can be difficult to keep up with the latest words. Talk with native speakers and consume media in your target language to make sure you pick up these kinds of expressions. Media is a great resource for your learning. Ultimately, knowing the appropriate vocabulary to use for each situation will really help you sound more knowledgeable. Number 2, perfect your accent. With every language, there are unique pronunciation and intonation challenges. Some languages are tonal languages, and a change in pitch can completely change the meaning of a word. Then there's the fact that most countries have multiple dialects, and so people from one area of the country may sound different from those in another. So what is the best way to listen to a wide range of accents and different pronunciations? Video and audio resources are a great way to do this. YouTube is a perfect place to start because people from all kinds of different backgrounds upload videos to the platform. You can watch educational videos, daily life vlogs, cooking shows, a travel series, whatever interests you. Pay attention to the different ways people speak. Everyone is unique. And then practice speaking like them. This kind of practice can help you sound more natural. One note, please be aware of the type of resources you're using. For example, if you find a video where a speaker uses a rare dialect, it might not be a good idea to use that for your pronunciation practice, unless you have a special reason for studying a specific accent. As a general rule, it's best to try to search for practice resources that use a standard form of the language you're studying. Number 3, copy what you hear. Do you remember how you learned to speak as a child? We rarely learned new words just listening to them, or reading after we learned how. When we were little kids, we imitated the sounds we heard by repeating the sounds out loud. While you're talking to a friend, watching videos, or listening to audio in your target language, you can do this to try and replicate the way they speak. Doing this will help you work on mastering the flow of the language, your accent, intonation, and pronunciation. Of course, you might also pick up some new vocabulary this way. Make sure to repeat new words often. It's a great way to make sure you remember them. Try doing this using a number of different mediums and sources. That way, you'll be exposed to the diversity that the language offers and master the fundamentals of pronunciation. For example, you can watch and imitate several different YouTube videos and audio CDs, but try a few different sources, like different creators or different audio types, to make sure you experience a wide range of communication in your target language. If you're using our language learning program, you can even get your own teacher with Premium Plus. Your teacher can answer questions, give assignments, and even listen to your recordings and give you advice on pronunciation. Completing these kinds of lessons with a native teacher can really boost your confidence in your speaking skills. Becoming able to speak like a native is a popular goal for many people learning a new language. It feels great to be able to communicate smoothly, especially when the people you're talking to expect basic level sentences or broken communication. Try using the tips we've shared in this video to work on improving your speaking skills. Of course, it'll take time and persistence, but the reward will be more natural communication. And for even more tips on speaking, check out our complete language learning program. Sign up for your free lifetime account by clicking on the link in the description. Get tons of resources to have you speaking in your target language. And if you enjoyed these tips, hit the like button, share the video with anyone who's trying to learn a new language, and subscribe to our channel. We release new videos every week. I'll see you next time. Bye! Want to know how to improve your listening and speaking skills, be able to save conversations, listen to them as many times as you want, and learn hundreds of practical everyday conversations? Well, there is an easy way to do this. In this video, we'll go over how to speak more using the dialogue track. So, what is the dialogue track? The dialogue track is an audio track with just the conversation from the lesson. It's only about 10 to 30 seconds long. Let's say you're looking at a 5-minute lesson about ordering food at a restaurant. First, you hear a conversation. Then our teachers explain every grammar rule and translate every word, so you know what it all means. That's where the dialogue track comes in. It gives you just the conversation. Here's what makes the dialogue track so powerful. First, you can quickly review the conversation without re-listening to the lesson. The dialogue track is just 10 to 30 seconds long, so it won't take you very long to cover both new and old information. This makes it perfect for a quick review of what you've just learned, and it helps keep it fresh in your brain. Second, you'll remember the conversations easier. Listen on repeat, like you would with a song, and the words, phrases, and grammar rules will stick better. And the more you come back to re-listen, the better it will all stick. Third, you'll speak more of your target language. So if you have 10, 20, or 100 dialogue tracks like that, then you have 10, 20, or 100 conversations that you'll know inside out and that you can use in real life. For example, conversations like catching up with friends, ordering at a restaurant, talking about your family, introducing yourself, and much, much more. Fourth, you improve your listening skills and can immerse yourself in the language. So imagine you've finished 20 lessons and you've downloaded 20 dialogue tracks to your phone. That's 20 conversations. You can create a playlist and play those 20 tracks and get used to the language and immerse yourself. To recap what we just learned, here's what you do to make the most of the dialogue tracks. First, after you finish a lesson, download the dialogue track. Save it to your computer or phone so you can listen to it on repeat whenever possible. Just replace 3 to 15 minutes of music listening for some language review. Next, if you've finished 20 lessons, you should have 20 dialogue tracks. Use those to create a playlist of these dialogue tracks so that you can listen to all kinds of conversations. And finally, try shadowing the conversations that you hear. This will become super easy once you've heard the conversation enough times. But if you're still struggling with a word or two, go back to the lesson and check the line-by-line breakdown of the conversation to find the words you need to practice. Boost your speaking skills with the dialogue track and check out our complete language learning program. Sign up for your free lifetime account by clicking on the link in the description. Get tons of resources to have you speaking in your target language. And if you enjoyed these tips, hit the like button, share the video with anyone who's trying to learn a new language, and subscribe to our channel. We release new videos every week. I'll see you next time. Bye! Want to speak your target language with confidence and impress native speakers? When learning to speak a new language, you have lots of things to think about, including grammar, vocabulary, and pronunciation. Because you're thinking of all of these things and trying to speak, it can be difficult to communicate with confidence, especially in the beginning. This is why it's helpful to make confidence-building exercises part of your language learning process. In this video, you'll learn 7 ways to boost your confidence. 1. Read out loud. This might seem pretty basic, but it's a great way to practice speaking. Reading aloud lets you practice speaking without having to think about grammar or things to talk about. Reading out loud lets you focus on your pronunciation and the rhythm of the language. It can help you learn to speak more smoothly and quickly, without even thinking about it. If you're using our lessons, read the dialogue out loud as you listen. You can read along with the dialogue tool, the lesson notes, or the transcript. 2. Read like a child. This might sound strange, but think about children learning to read. They go slow and sound everything out. Maybe it takes 2 or 3 tries before they read a new word smoothly, and a few more tries before they can read it at a natural pace. This example applies to language learning too. If you find a complex sentence in something you're reading, read it slowly at first, then speed up. With practice, you'll be able to say it easily. It might feel a bit silly to speak very slowly, but this kind of practice can help you identify tough sounds you might miss or say incorrectly when reading quickly. 3. Use the dialogue breakdown tool. If you're using our site, this is a great tool to take advantage of. It breaks down lesson conversations into individual lines. You can listen to the audio for each line, learn what each line means, and can reread and review as much as you want. 4. Use the voice recorder to record and compare yourself with native speakers. Just click on the microphone icon next to each line in the dialogue section. You can use this tool to perfect your pronunciation if you like, but this is also something you can use to work on speaking with confidence at native level speed. You'll find this tool in the dialogue section of all of our lessons. 5. Repeat and review old lesson conversations. Reviewing what you've studied in the past is the best way to make sure you maintain what you've learned. Go back to older lessons, download the lesson dialogue tracks, and re-listen to the conversations again and again. Or you can reread the dialogue lines from previous lessons until you've mastered them all. 6. Shadow conversations. Repeat what you hear out loud. This tactic is important, but it can be tricky when you're doing a brand new lesson. If you're reviewing dialogues from lessons you've done though, it's super easy to do. Just listen to the dialogue and repeat what you hear. Shadowing means mimicking the speaker as soon as they speak, following their intonation and rhythms as closely as possible. 7. Send recordings to your Premium Plus teacher. If you want to speak with confidence, there's no better confidence boost than feedback from a native speaker. And you get just that with a Premium Plus teacher. You can record yourself reciting a lesson dialogue or any dialogue of your own, and your teacher will give you specific tips on how to improve. From the tips your teacher gives you, choose at least one and practice, practice, practice. Being able to react quickly and with confidence in a conversation is typically not something you can do on your first try, but if you continue practicing, you'll gradually find yourself speaking with ease. And for even more ways to build your speaking confidence, check out our complete language learning program. Sign up for your free lifetime account by clicking on the link in the description. Get tons of resources to have you speaking in your target language. And if you enjoyed these tips, hit the like button, share the video with anyone who's trying to learn a new language, and subscribe to our channel. We release new videos every week. I'll see you next time. Bye! When you start out learning a foreign language, everything is exciting. You pick up new words and basic phrases fairly quickly. The first time you say a greeting or answer the question, "How are you?" you might even get a little thrill. Speaking fluently doesn't feel that far off, and at this point, it really does seem like language learning isn't all that difficult. But after a week or two, things begin to change. After a few weeks of study, you start to hit walls as you're faced with strange grammar, vocabulary, and pronunciation. Everything about learning a new language seemed promising and hopeful before, but now you start to realize how difficult it's going to be. Speaking the language now feels like a long, far-off goal that you may or may not achieve one day. But don't let the innocence of being an absolute beginner or the disillusionment of being an experienced learner discourage you from learning. Speaking a new language may not be as far off as you thought. In this video, we'll look at 3 tips to help you practice your speaking skills, no matter what level you're at. Number 1, practice with native speakers. Practicing with native speakers is by far one of the most effective things you can do to improve your speaking abilities. Think of speaking a foreign language as riding a bike. After a certain point, you can't read or theorize about how to do it. You have to actually do it. If you can practice speaking with native speakers who correct you and give good feedback, then you'll be well on your way to improving your speaking. But where can you find native speakers to practice with? If you live in or near a major city, there's a good chance there are some native speakers there. You might even get lucky and discover an entire community. Do a little research into the demographics of your city, or simply keep your eyes open the next time you go through town. You can also attend a language exchange or cultural event. Meetup is a site for local enthusiast groups, and there are usually some language-speaking clubs or cultural clubs there. If you're unable to find native speakers where you live, then jump online and find them there. There are a lot of free online exchanges that allow you to connect with other language learners from all over the globe via text, audio, or video chat. Look for a speaker who is learning your native language. You can spend an hour or so helping each other in your respective target languages. This is a highly practical and helpful way to learn. It's also a great way to learn more directly about the culture you're studying in a real way. Number 2, devote some time to learning pronunciation. Pronunciation often isn't the first skill people think of working on when learning a foreign language, but that doesn't mean that it isn't important. Truth be told, you don't absolutely need a great accent to speak or understand every language. However, a decent accent can vastly improve your listening and speaking abilities in ways you might not expect. Being able to pronounce words and sounds makes it a lot easier for you to remember and understand new words simply by hearing them. If you can physically make a sound with your mouth, then you can mentally remember it. Once you have a good accent, the new language won't sound as foreign as it once did, and you'll be able to understand rapid speech, as well as pick up the definition of new words based on their conversational context. But how can you improve your accent? If you're serious about developing your accent, then you'll want to dissect the language's sound system into its individual parts. First by letters, then individual words, followed by whole phrases. Start doing some mild research on the phonetics of your target language. You don't have to get too technical here. Just try to get an idea of some of the main differences between it and your native language. Find out where native speakers usually put their tongue while saying certain sounds, or pay attention to the shape of their mouths when they speak. Is it open or closed? These subtle differences are what really help you improve. Once you get the letters down, start listening to native audio and compare your pronunciation to the native speakers. Our language learning program's playback feature is a great way to accomplish this. Take a phrase from a lesson and start by practicing the individual words, playing the audio back at a slower speed and then again at a regular speed. After comparing your speech to the audio, combine the words to make complete phrases, imitating the intonation of the native speakers. This precise method of pronunciation practice is one of the most efficient and effective ways to learn pronunciation. Number 3, imitate, don't just repeat. Anytime you speak, do your best to imitate the native speakers you've heard and practice with. Match the way their intonation rises and falls. Pay attention to their word order. It's even a good idea to match some of their body language. This degree of imitation will probably feel weird at first, but it reinforces fluency in the language and breaks you out of the parrot trap, where you simply learn and speak through rote memorization or repetition. This is a common problem that's often cited with other less effective language learning methods. Speaking a language is like playing music or dancing. You don't want to just know it. You want to live in the moment and feel it as you use it. You don't sit and think of what you're going to say in your native language before you say it. Why would you expect to do the same in a new one? Don't let ruffled expectations make you think that speaking a new language is impossible. Yes, it's difficult, but it probably isn't as difficult as you think it is. With a little determination and some faithful practice, you might be surprised how quick and how far you can progress. Use these tips to better practice the language and see real results in your speaking abilities. And for even more ways to practice your speaking, check out our complete language learning program. Sign up for your free lifetime account by clicking on the link in the description. Get tons of resources to have you speaking in your target language. And if you enjoyed these tips, hit the like button, share the video with anyone who's trying to learn a new language, and subscribe to our channel. We release new videos every week. I'll see you next time. Bye! Want to speed up your language learning? Take your very first lesson with us. You'll start speaking in minutes and master real conversations. Sign up for your free lifetime account. Just click the link in the description.